I did always used to get in trouble. On a minimum, I was probably drinking a box of wine a day.
I've never heard anyone say it's great, you know, smoking crack's wonderful, or drinking 2 litres of vodka a day is great.
I was sat in a room with people who were admitting there was alcoholic, a bit like an unofficial AA, and I'm sat there thinking, I don't need to be in here. Rang the police on myself. You need to come and get me. I've crashed my car. And that's what made me realise that was my rock bottom. And I just thought, Dan, you need to do something about this.
Welcome then, Dan. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I know you've made a long journey from Hull.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know it wasn't too troublesome. So yeah. So what I like to do at the beginning of all of these interviews is just take you back to kind of the start, to your childhood and stuff, and where you grew up and what that was like, basically.
Right, okay. Well, yeah. So yeah, I grew up in Heddon, in Hull. Well, East Riding. Good childhood. I had 2 older sisters, mum and dad, and then just normal. I mean, my childhood was very good, I'll be honest. I mean, I had very good parents, and then unfortunately they separated. And I think that's when my behaviour sort of changed a little bit. I felt like I needed to be wanted. Mm-hmm. Like I had to, what's the word? Like I always needed appreciation, I believe. Or like praise. Not that I never got it, it was just I don't know, it's hard to explain. But so I started becoming a little tour rag. So then early into secondary school, year 7, my mum moved me out of where I grew up in Heddon and moved me over towards South Cave. I was sort of bullied at that school, but then when I changed schools, I suddenly became like real popular. I went from like 0 to hero in just changing schools. Yeah. So then all like the confidence started getting built up, and then obviously girls started coming on the scene, and the usual going to the park benches on a Friday because it was a little farming village. There was nothing to do other than to, you know, get 2 litres of cider, packet of 10 fags, and that was it. So I wouldn't say I had a problem then, but I liked how drink made me feel. It made me feel more confident. And then that started, and then I just carried on drinking. But I don't think my problems came about until I'd say when I left school. I think when I left school, I started being a little idiot at college. Because all my priority was about going out and getting drunk, and it's like I wanted to grow up quicker than I should have done, really. But then when I did grow up and got the wife and the kids, I wanted to suddenly become a child again.
Yeah, I think that's all of us, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just my priority. It was like I don't know. So my priority, when I look back at it now, my priority was all about just partying, and I think I was greedy. I don't think I was doing it for mental health, to cover any mental health. I think I just did it because I liked how it made me feel. And I was very greedy. I
think, but when you're talking though, and hearing you speak, so you've got the breakup, there's quite often things, isn't there?
Yeah.
So when people used to mention drinking to me and stuff, I never saw a problem with it. And you know, throughout my prison sentences, people would say, I think there's a problem with alcohol. I was like, the only problem is that I can't get any. I'm good with it, I'm good with drinking. And similar to you, you know, breakup, you know, bullied as well. You know, I think, you know, you've touched on that, but it does have a massive effect on you if you're being bullied, I think.
Well, I just recently we did some work on trauma-informed practice, and I was like, well, I didn't really know what that was. But then
is that the ACE model?
Yeah, I think most mental health, most places now are looking at trauma-informed, like being able to treat everybody the same but differently. Everybody's trauma should be treated. It should be treated with utmost respect, because somebody's trauma may not be your trauma, or may not be their trauma. Somebody so little, like somebody getting a stone thrown at them, to somebody who's been in a car accident. So that person, it's both got an element of trauma. So,
of course,
and then I look back and I think, maybe that was, because it did. I do look at that, and it did break me. Seeing my mum and dad separated. Thankfully, I had an older sister. I have 2 older sisters, but my eldest sort of like took me and my middle sister under her wing. So yeah, when I look back, yeah, it must have affected me. But I'm not blaming that on how I became, because I liked the confidence. I liked having all these friends around me and girls chasing me, and I'm sounding real big-headed there, I won't, but...
I was going to say, it sounds good to me. Yeah.
But then, again, I'd get the girl, like, for example, I'd fancy this girl, I'd go and get this girl, I'd ask her out, and then I'd end up messing it up because all I wanted to do was then be with all my friends and get absolutely mortal at the weekend and party, because I think that was cool at the time, and then the drugs started.
Well, quite often, I think, if you talk about your teenage years heading into your early 20s, it's often a rite of passage, isn't it? So you find alcohol, that, it really resonates with me, because that's, we would put shop windows out to get drink. We had no food in the house, but we'd sort of steal the drink.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then and I think alcohol, for me, was like putting a mask on in my teens. And again, giving you confidence to speak. And I was addicted to what might happen next as well. I used to like getting out my head and then speaking to my friends the next day and say, wow, I was on that car roof with no clothes on 120 miles an hour. And it was always pushing it, for the stories, really, even going out nightclubbing and pubbing, and, the fights would happen, or the women would happen, or whatever would happen. Yeah. There was always a tale to tell, and it was a buzz.
But we didn't have mobile phones either, did we?
No, so thank God. Thank God.
Social media to look at the next morning.
That's it, yeah. So the drinking... Obviously, you've had because there is trauma there, definitely, the breakup and all of that. And I don't want to focus on that too much, but undoubtedly there is some there. Then there's the drinking, and obviously there's the success with women and all of those things. And then, so is this heading into your early 20s and stuff?
Yeah, it was more. It was from. Well, no, it was actually during my school. When I moved the schools and went to South Hunsley. That was in like beginning of year 8, so that was second year. That was when the priority was partying, and then it was. I think the music we listened to as well. A lot of it. It was a lot of rap.
Music were you listening to?
A lot of rap, hip hop, NWA.
I was going to say
Snoop
NWA.
Dogg,
I was going to say that. Yeah.
And all that was all about smoking cannabis and drinking gin and juice and being a gangster.
Yeah.
Thinking that's what life was. Baggy trousers, hoodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what year would this have been then?
That would have been year 8. So I'd have been. It's when I look back now, it's embarrassing, but it'd have been about 11, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was always one of the youngest as well, because my birthday is in August, so all my friends were a lot older than me. So yeah, and then so that's all it was. And then the end of the year, we'd go for a party. It was called Spookwood, so it was like where South Cave is. There was a lot of like woods, like the Wolds.
Yeah.
So we'd all go into the forest and have a big party, and there'd be hundreds of us just going and getting as much booze as we possibly could. So you're having illegal
raves without...
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But there was no music. It was just a big fire and... Yeah, but I do miss them times, because they were good times. They really were. And, you didn't have any worries. You could go home.
Well, there's a freedom to it all, isn't there? Before massive responsibilities start kicking in.
All your priority was getting your £10 pocket money every Friday, so you could then plan it to get your cider and your packet of fags, and then at that time it was also £5 for a gram of resin. Yeah. I remember it well. Yeah. So how did you get on at school in your latter part of your teens and stuff, despite the wild partying? I could have done better. My school reports were class clown, liked to show off, centre of attention, and that was me, and I could have done a whole lot better, but my priorities then were just to have a social life, and I got on. I did well in the lessons that I enjoyed, so I loved art, loved sports. Even though I was drinking and smoking at that time, I was still quite healthy. So I liked my football, my rugby, my swimming. I think I did well in what I wanted to do well in, but I could have done a whole lot better when I look back. But again, priorities were totally different.
This episode of Hope in Hell is supported by Positive Directions Northeast. Positive Directions are here to give people a fresh start when life gets difficult, offering real support, understanding, and a steady hand when it's needed most. From housing to community projects, they help adults and young people across the Northeast find their feet and move towards a brighter future. Because at the heart of everything they do is a simple aim: making a difference for individuals and communities.
So then leaving school and moving on and leaving school, where did you see yourself heading, and what did you want? Who did you want to be? What did you want to be?
Well, I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to be. At first, I left school and I wanted to be like an architect, graphic designer of some description. So I went to college to do spatial design, Hull College. But again, I messed that up because we went on a trip to London and I decided to just go and get not just one bottle of vodka because we were going out for a drink afterwards. I ended up getting two because I could, because I had the money and I had no, So
was there any? I know you were confident and stuff. Was there any kind of anxiety then? You know, because I've seen myself maybe do a bottle of wine to go and meet friends.
Yeah.
Or because I knew I was going to go party, and I think looking back, I might have had even though I enjoyed the social scene, I was a social animal. I kind of needed that little leveler, do you know, to get out. So I went out confident, or what I thought was confident, you know, probably half drunk.
I think at the time it was a competition, because if you could, like, it sounds real pathetic, but if you could neck a pint the quickest, you'd be cool.
Yeah.
And if you could neck a pint and smoke two spliffs at the same time, then you'd be even more cool.
So it's attached to that kind of whole male ego. I'm Jack the lad.
Definitely. It was always a competition. So if my mate smoked 4 spliffs, I'd have to smoke 5. If my mate drank a bottle of vodka, I'd have to drink 2.
Yeah.
And it was just, but it was fun. It was good fun and it was a laugh. But then even I'd get in trouble. So that time when I went to the trip in London, I ended up having an argument with a security guard and I got mad and I kicked off and I ended up getting expelled from Hull College because the way I acted.
You'd brought shame on the college.
Absolutely. Yeah. And at the time I didn't think it was a bad thing. I thought it was quite cool. All my mates were like, oh, you're not, you did that. And and again, it was because I got some appraisal and some approval from that. I didn't think it was a problem. I was like totally, I just looked at it totally the wrong way. So, so then I got kicked out of college. My mum had a go at me, as she quite rightly did. And she said, well, you are sacking it off. You're not just being a dosser. So I ended up going to be a pot washer. Became
hard work.
Yeah, and then I trained to be a chef. It was at Cave Castle, and again, it was that sort of industry where you'd work all night, you'd stop, and then you'd go and have a few drinks after shift.
I've got a friend who's no longer with us. His name's Jimmy Clifford, and he once said to us, "You should always be frightened of a thirsty chef." Because every shift, whether it be 11 o'clock in the morning or the 3 o'clock or late at night, straight to the bar drinking, and he got massive problems because of that industry, because it's based around alcohol, a lot of it, isn't it?
Absolutely, all of it is. And when you're a chef, you're doing the long shifts, so you're starting at like 6 in the morning, you work till 3, you do a split shift, you go home, and go back for 6 o'clock at night, so you've got the 3-hour gap. So then what we'd do is we'd go to a pub.
Yeah.
It's bad, really. It's bad when you look back. Like 9 times out of 10, I probably would have been under the influence on shift. But I did that for a good 10, 11 years, and I loved it. But I do think I loved it because I could have the social life as part of the parcel of the job. And then I moved to the south of France. I was a chef on the yachts there. Which, when I look back...
Tell us about that. That's very exciting. I'd like to hear about that.
That was bizarre because I went there because I thought I was as good. I thought I was a lot better than what I was. And I went there thinking I was the best chef in the world and I was really, really brilliant at it. And I went there and I think I did get a bit of a reality check because I looked at some of the chefs and they were like Ramsay, Gordon Ramsay. They were amazing. And to be honest, I didn't have a clue. I was like a little fish in a big pond.
So you were blagging it to some degree?
Yes, but I did honestly think I was good. Yeah. And I used to get a lot of comments from customers in the jobs that I was doing. like some of the food that I'd done. So I did get a lot, I think I got a bit overconfident. But then the lifestyle in the south of France is totally different. It was, you know, you got paid lots of money. The partying was good fun, but it was expensive. And like, you know, we'd had like 2 months in Monaco during the the Grand Prix, €15 a pint. So you'd get a lot of money, but you'd think, yeah. So I lived like I was one of the owners of the yachts. Again, and then I got in, but all that time, since I was at school and all whatnot, every time I was drinking or partying, I did always used to get in trouble. Because I always had to do that little bit more.
And you were saying before, though, that you weren't extremely violent or anything like that. It was just more like hijinks that went wrong.
Stupid things. Like, we'd be walking to a party and I'd go and see a car and I'd kick a wing mirror.
Yeah.
Because it was cool. But it's not. It's really annoying because if somebody did that to my car now, I'd be fuming.
Yeah, of course.
But at the time, because all my mates would be laughing and egging me on, so if somebody said to me, "Oh, go and nick that car," it would be real funny. I'd go and do it because I wanted to have that sense of.
There's a huge theme, isn't there?
Yeah.
Around acceptance.
Yeah.
And kind of esteem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Needing that kind of validation.
Yeah. And I used to think if I did that, then more girls would fancy me, and then because it's cool.
Yeah.
And some of them, it was at the time. Well, no, it wasn't. It never was. But at the time, I thought it was.
Well, I think some girls do like bad boys, don't they? It's as simple as that. Or they like that bit of wildness and stuff.
Yeah.
They don't tend to like it when they get to 30, though.
No. No.
The game changes, doesn't it?
And that was it. And so that was pretty much my story. I'd get into States, but then it wasn't just alcohol then as well. It was also like the Class A drugs, so cocaine, ecstasy, raving. That's all what my priority was just partying and earning money so I could pay for the alcohol and for the drugs.
There's a lot of hedonism, isn't there? There's a lot of like kind of, seeking pleasure at every turn.
And I could have really made something of that in France. I went with all the right intentions, but I had to come home.
And I've always admired anyone, because I can't cook at all. I'm terrible. If I do a bacon sandwich, I think I'm Gordon Ramsay. But there's an art to it, isn't there? That when it's done right, there really is a kind of zen to it, and I've always appreciated that. So yeah.
It is, and I still cook now, and I love it, and I do have a passion for it, and I do like to make dishes up. So it's not always been bad. So yeah, and I've got a trade. I am a trained chef, so that, and I will always have that, and nobody can take that from me.
Absolutely.
But I watch the programmes now, and I just think I could never do that now because it's too fancy now.
No.
Like sous vide, and it's like, well, just cook it.
Well, I came up with a TV concept. It was called "Can't Cook, Won't Cook." That's what mine should be called. But I am envious, so I wish I could.
Yeah.
So there's the great time in the south of France, and there's the trouble, and there's the wildness, and all of this. And when does the real kind of, for you, when you look back, when does the real kind of addiction issues? So it's gone beyond recreational wild partying. When do you feel like that kind of darkness crept in?
I would say a few years after that, maybe a good 5 years, because I came back from the south of France. I met my first wife at the time. Well, she was my girlfriend. And then this is where I said I wanted to grow up. I wanted to become a man. I thought if you had your wife and your kids, you could go to the pub every weekend.
Yeah.
That was my thought process. But realistically, that wasn't. And I ended up getting my girlfriend. We got married. I had my first daughter. And that was when reality checked in, and I still wanted to go to the pub. But then that's when I started lying, like saying, "Oh, I'm working late." But then at that point, I'd left chefing, and then I went to go and work at Ferns for You as a phone salesman.
Yeah.
Again, a trade where it was all about the social side of it. So yeah, and then.
But there is that, speaking with you, and I've already known you now, there is that kind of salesman in you, isn't there? There's a bit of that character. Well, where you can like.
Yeah, my missus now, my good woman now, says to me, "You've always had the gift of the gab," and I used to find that quite as like not a good thing, because I didn't want people to think I was blagging. Because I was always very honest in my jobs. Like I did the phone salesman. I always had a conscience. And then I went for the bank. So that was like having a conscience. You're selling. You're literally looking after people's lives, really, with the finances. And if you lend them something wrong, you could make them in a lot of trouble. They could lose their house and whatnot. So I always had a conscience, but I never had a conscience when I was out on the social side of it. I didn't really care what I did, because it was all about what I wanted and how I wanted to be.
So there's a dual existence. There's someone with a very strong moral compass who's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And then there's I can say it because I've done it. There's that selfish kind of party animal who, because I did a very similar thing. I thought I needed a woman in the house and a woman to have that kind of steady life with.
Yeah.
But then I wanted to put that down and go out and party for 3 or 4 days.
That's exactly that.
Yeah, and so that's where I was, and so
yeah,
I would say I love you, and I did in my own way, but I loved me more.
Yeah.
Looking back, and I needed to be out, and I needed to have my ego fed as well.
Yeah.
And still continue to do what I wanted, which is extremely selfish, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it really is. And you said the ego thing, and I think it was for me, because I didn't think it was ever a problem if girls came and spoke to me at the bar and I'd have a bit of a laugh with them. But then if I saw my wife speaking to a load of blokes, that was it. That's when, and again, if I was under the influence of drink, I'd then get very jealous, and then I'd get real paranoid, and then I'd think it was never a grey area. It was either black or white. And if I saw her speaking to another bloke, in my head, that was it. She was cheating on me. It was over. I'm not going to see my kids. So then I'd just think, excuse my French, I'd think, fuck it.
Yeah.
Might as well just go and get absolutely blotto.
Yeah.
Which I did. And then I'd spend all the money, and then I'd wake up 2 days later, full of guilt, remorse, mental health, was like anxious, feeling guilty that I've spent all the money. I've not seen my daughter, my baby girl Emily.
Well, there's another similarity, because that's what my baby girl's called as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that was it. It just carried on going like that. So then me and my ex-wife, we got married, and then we was divorced. We didn't even make the first year. So I think again, we chose to get married to keep everybody else happy, and it was more for the social side of it. It was 3 weeks in Rhodes, so we could all just sit and have a party.
Yeah.
So it was all for the wrong reasons. It really was. But at the time, so I split up with Louise, and then got divorced, and then I remember all I wanted to do when my mate picked me up was go back home, which was South Cave, and then that was back to the party. It was drinking every weekend. I had a weightlifting, and I always said it was because I wasn't happy in the relationship. I wasn't, but I think my priority was I wanted to just drink.
Yeah.
And party, work, and pay for my weekends, and then do it all again. And
then things like, in retrospect, because we have to learn from them, don't we?
Yeah.
One would hope. It can never work. That kind of thing can never work. If really where your heart lies is there, it can't work. So that happens. You go back, and there's drinking every week. And was the midweek drinking creeping in and stuff?
Yeah.
So
it was always a drink at the end of the shift. It was always, you'd come home, and if it was cold and windy, it was a reason to have a drink. If it was hot and sunny, it was a reason to have more to drink, because you'd go to the beer garden.
Yeah.
And then Thursday was like, for me, it was like the start of the weekend, even though you had to go to work on a Friday, but everybody else did it, so why can't I? And that was it, and it was just, the last 10 years was like that, really.
And when we're talking about the alcohol, sorry to dive in. When we talk about how much were you drinking, when it was really out of control?
Very hard to say, but I guaranteed I could never just go and have 1 pint. It would then be 3 or 4 pints, and then it'd be a couple of shots. Then it'd be silly. Then it'd be the top shelf. Yeah. But that, again, it was, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I thought that because I was working, I was earning the money and I was paying my bills. But then that is where my denial kicked in, because I was never paying the bills, because I was always in debt. Because I never paid the gas and electric, I never paid the rent. I'd always be borrowing money off my friends, and I got that nickname in Brough, but South Cave Brough, that nobody ever lent me money anymore. So I must have owed everybody about 100, 200 quid.
Yeah.
So
There comes a point if you work in the crowd that you run out of road, don't you? You do run out of road eventually.
And it was just, but again, I always managed to blag it, and I always managed to blag people to lend me money. And I don't know how, but I was...
Well, I think that comes back to having the gift of the gab.
Probably, yeah, the sales, and it'd be like, look, I'll give you this, but I'll give you 200 quid back next week.
It's amazing. Once, if anything starts taking hold, when you look back, you do become somewhat of a con man.
Yeah.
Because you want the result. You need that money from wherever to keep the party rolling, or what you think's a party, to keep it going, or certainly when addiction really does kick in and the devil does get hold of you, the lengths you'll go to and what you'll do to get it. I'm sure there's another box set there if we started talking about that.
Absolutely, yeah, there is definitely another box set. Like, I'd go to any lengths to go and get drink and drugs, whatever time of the morning, whatever the weather. But it was, there was no buts to it. That's just what it was. I'd always wanted to be at a party. I always wanted to be the first there and the last one standing, always. And like, back to that competition, if my friend had had a gram of Charlie, I'd have to have 2.
Yeah.
But then that's when it all started getting a bit too serious for me, because then I'd start lying. I'd start getting stuff on tick and then not paying it back, and then have to end up then borrowing off somebody else, or talking absolute nonsense to my mum and getting her to lend me money because I needed to pay the rent, even though it wasn't. It was so I could pay
to pay drug dealers, or your friends.
It's just horrible, really, all the lies that I did. But, and then my big denial thing for me was I could always stop taking drugs. I could always say, right, that's it, I'm not doing it again. And I could go for months without doing them. But I would always have a drink. Always. But then since I've been in recovery, what I've realised, it was the drink that opened up the doors to shit for me. So if I could stay away from the drink, then I'd stay away from the gambling, the lying, the cheating, the drugs, just being an knobhead, really. Excuse my phrase. I was going to say a stronger word, but I'm not going to.
You can if you like.
Well, it's a see you next Tuesday, but that's exactly what it was, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, to be quite honest. So, I think it was, I'd say, it's very hard to pinpoint, but I would say it was the last 10 years, maybe between 15 and 10 years, that was when my priorities was the alcohol. But I don't think, I didn't know I had a problem then, because my excuse was everybody else is doing it. My family drink, my friends drink, and I always used to enable the drinking. So I had 2 daughters with my ex-wife, and then I had a break of just seeing loads of girls, and then I ended up getting with an old school friend who was my first ever girlfriend, which that relationship never worked before. It was always like we'd separate because I either cheated on her or she cheated on me, but we always ended up coming back together. And then for some random reason, we decided to give it a go as a grown-ups.
Yeah. How did that go?
At first it was good, and then she had the similar lifestyle to me. It was like she liked partying, she liked the cocaine, she liked the drinking. And so that's what we did, but we did it every weekend. And then we ended up having children, my boy and another daughter, Nancy. And and that was when I do think it just absolutely, it just got to the top of me. I couldn't stop, even though I wanted to. I tried to have levels of sobriety, but as we was talking before, I'd go to all these services and I'd say, look, I've got a problem, but then nobody would ring me. So I'd think, well, I obviously don't have a problem. I've got a house, I've got a car, I've got a job. I've never
So
been
you were
sacked.
functioning.
Absolutely. But I never knew about functioning. I just thought there was normal drinking, which I thought everybody in the world was, or an alcoholic, which I used to think that they were the people that you would see at Queen's Gardens hidden in a bush.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't like to say this, but at the time I used to think it was just people that were homeless.
Yeah, of
Who were
course. No,
alcoholics.
that's fair enough, yeah.
Alcoholics or smackheads.
So I've been there in my mind as well.
Yeah.
I thought if you're not on a park bench with a bottle of turbs, you're all right.
Yeah.
And if you can get about your business, there's
Yeah.
nothing to say here, really, because you get about, your business.
And you used to think I'm not harming anyone, but what I was actually doing, I was harming everybody. I was harming my family, I was harming my children, I was harming the employers, because I was just being deceitful in every way possible, but not in a nasty way. No, I was. I'm trying to.
That's the thing, isn't
justify it in my own head. I don't want to come out like I'm some horrible person.
And I know you're doing some great work now, and we're going to come on to that, but I think I always say lies. Two things I always say from my whole life was a favour would kill you quicker than a bullet.
Yeah.
And so will a lie in addiction.
Yeah.
Because once that starts, and everybody I've ever talked to about addiction and in recovery, I'm like, the truth is the only weapon. It's all you've got. You know, once you start telling any kind of lie, you know, it's a snakes and ladders situation, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's too easy to go all the way back down to the bottom.
And it was just, when I look back now, it's horrendous. It really was. But then COVID started, and it was Boxing Day 2019, and my two youngest kids' mum, who I lived with at the time, said, if you don't come home on Boxing Day, don't bother coming home.
Yeah.
And that was a pass for me, because I thought, right, it's Boxing Day, I'm going to get drunk. And that was it. I chose to have an alcoholic drink than to come home, because I didn't want to come home, because I wasn't happy. And my priority was the drink. Mm-hmm. So I did that, stayed at my sister's, because I always knew I had somewhere to go, which I do think that was a form of enabling, and that's not my family's fault. That was because I was good at manipulating everyone, really.
Yeah. Well,
lying to what I got. And then I ended up getting my own house in Beverley, and then COVID started, and then I was furloughed, and then that was it. I thought, well, I've got no bubble. I'm on my own, I'm getting paid, I'm paying my rent, so I'll just drink, and that's what I did. I just drank every day.
And I'm glad that you mentioned COVID and everything that went on there, because I think a lot of people with addictions, the wheels really came off.
Absolutely.
Because obviously you were in the house and you're still getting paid. And I think a lot of people who didn't have any issues, and I know this for a fact, got some.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Obviously they were restricted in the movement. You know, there was that
all
whole
you could
deal
do was
going
walk
on.
to a shop.
Yeah.
And then there was nothing else to do. And then, so that was it. And then I found, I'm not blaming this, but I found Vikings on Amazon Prime, which was an absolute amazing box set.
Yeah.
So I thought I could be a Viking and just sit and drink wine and and nobody would bother me.
A really important point you made before, there's always a reason, isn't there? So my week once consisted of the football, which I'm not these days a big football fan, so I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday was Champions League. Thursday night was a programme about boxing called Ringside. Friday was Friday, so you got drunk because it's the start of the weekend. Obviously, you've got to keep going because it's a sad day. Sunday is a wonderful session.
Yeah.
And then it was the Monday Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And that went on for a long, long time.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden, your whole week's gone. You know, and then there's a year gone or 5 years, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, in COVID then, how bad did it get?
It got horrendous. I could say I was on a minimum, I was probably drinking a box of wine a day, red. And I knew something wasn't right because I had plans. So on a Monday I went to Sainsbury's. On a Tuesday I went to Lidl. Wednesday I went to Aldi, and then back again. Because I must have done that because I knew in my head that it's not right. And people are going to question. So I thought in my head, if I did different routes each day, nobody's going to fathom it.
And again, it comes down to kind of, it's lies and deceit. And even to shop owners, I mean, I've seen people go down the road and swap, you know, the things you put your bottles in for the recycling. They go and swap that and move the bins up the road because they don't want the bin men to see that they bang at it. You know.
Or using somebody else's blue bin.
Yeah, and put it in on the sly.
Which, I did. So then, unfortunately, I've not mentioned much about my old man, but that was an on and off relationship. But my dad was suffering from Alzheimer's at that point. And then come November of COVID, he passed, which I'll be honest, it hit me massively because I couldn't go and see him as much as I wanted to. And then I used that, and it's awful, but I used that. I thought, well, I've just lost my dad. I can't see my family, so I'm going to just keep drinking. Because it's making me feel better. And it blatantly wasn't, but it was at the time. And then, yeah, that was it. And that's when I thought, right, Dan, you've got a serious problem. But again, I rang the doctors, and then I ended up having a big car crash because I drove back to Brough to go and see the kid's mum.
And when you crashed, you were under the influence, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I mean, I'm not, yeah, and I'll be honest, I got away with that. I didn't lose my licence, I didn't get caught for drink driving because I wasn't speeding, and I ended up walking, I'd say about 10 miles into Brough because I crashed in Welton, but I got out the car and walked with a dislocated hip. And I just think, the ambulance said, I don't know how you did that, but in addiction, you're very good at...
And alcohol's a bit of a painkiller,
getting
isn't it?
out of the situation,
Yeah.
so you're looking after your own skin. So then obviously all my family got really unhappy with that, my mother especially. I know I hate them, but then, again, manipulation, I'm all right, I'm fine. I wasn't drinking. I didn't get caught, so I didn't lose my licence, so that was where you justified it in your own head. Well, I got away with that, so I can do it again, and I can do it again and again and again. And I'm not commending what I did. It's wrong.
No, but it's just the truth, isn't it? It's the truth about what happened.
I'm disgusted really how I did it and how many times I did it, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. I always felt I could drive better under the influence. I was more alert. Denial, innit? Massive.
Well, you'll justify everything. All the crime I committed, I justified it at the time.
Yeah, it was never your fault.
That was it. And if I was going and stealing money, that was my money.
Yeah.
I've took the time to watch that job and out of my life, and I'm taking that money into mine. And I justified all the violence, all the drugs, all the alcohol, and I justified it really easily. I mean, my drugs were the best drugs because I tested them, and it was just a public service.
Yeah.
And I knew they were good drugs, and you're very welcome to them. You know, that's the way it was. And if I kicked off on whiskey, then I drank gin. And if I kicked off on that, I drank red wine. Yeah. So there's, as you said before, there's 10 billion reasons to drink, isn't there? And
Absolutely.
To keep on moving.
And then control drinking, which I've learnt that while working in AA, while doing which I'll get back to the AA part, but yeah, control drinking. So I'd stop drinking Stella, but I'd drink Foster's. Just so I don't get as pissed. But even though you're getting the same piss, you're just drinking more. Yeah. It's just, again, denial. But then, so then mental health got a lot worse. Suicidal thoughts were there. And then I think the space in 2 weeks, I tried to take my own life, but I was still here. So I thought I'd get a grip. So I did. And then work helped me. Got back into work. And then met another girl. And I thought I was all right. So met Kirsty, who my partner now is. And then the drinking came back slowly, but I was fine because everybody, again...
Have you ever hid drink in the house and stuff, or kind of...
Not until this time.
All right, yeah.
So I'd hid... In the past, I've hid drink... I didn't hide drinks in the house, but what I would do is I would go to the pub on a Friday, have about 5 or 6 pints, but then I'd go to the shop, buy a bottle of vodka and a crate of beer, and then as soon as I'd get in, I'd crank a beer open so she couldn't smell it.
You'd already had it,
and then start pouring
and then once you had the vodka, large, double, that lets you go and do whatever you want to do.
A pass.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought I was doing anyway. But then that was the relationship to the youngest two's mother, and then obviously with this relationship with Kirsty, it was because everybody else drinks, but I thought I was all right. But then slowly, and I would class this as the relapse because I did have about 2 or 3 months sobriety of just knocking it on the head. But then it slowly started coming back. And then I started drinking on a Friday, and then I started, over time, it was then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning, because I was too hungover. And then that was it. And then I had a moment where I got very violent, because I got jealous, trashed the hotel room, and then I had 3 months sobriety, went to work with the services in Hull, Renew. Then I was sat in a room with people who were admitting there was alcoholic, a bit like an unofficial AA, and I'm sat there thinking, I don't need to be in here. I ain't got, what on earth? I was looking down on people. And then this is when hell broke loose. It was in May 2022, where I went and got some drink, because I was on my own, drank it, hid the fact that I was drinking that, and then got in the car with my stepchildren to go and pick up Kirsty in Leeds. And I thought I'd only had 4 pints, but apparently I'd not. I'd had 2 bottles of vodka, 25 cans, and a bottle of wine, which I don't even remember drinking that. Rang the police on myself. You need to come and get me. I've crashed my car. And and that's when I got arrested again for drink driving. Got out of the cell on a Sunday, and all I wanted to do was have another drink. And I just thought, what is wrong with you? In my head, I thought, just nobody else would want to do that. So I rang my mum. She turned her back on me. Family turned their back on me.
So everyone was aware that the children were in the car.
Yeah.
Obviously,
everybody.
It's a mom going off, isn't it? Yeah.
My job, they had to let me go. So I was literally homeless, jobless. I had nobody. And that's what made me realise that was my rock bottom. And I just thought, Dan, you need to do something about this. So I rang my friend, a very good friend of mine. He put me on his sofa for a couple of nights, but said, you've got to go because my kids are coming back. So luckily I had a little bit of money left. I had a night on a bench, and then I went to a hotel, and then I got really, really drunk, stupidly drunk in a hotel. Thankfully, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't have a go at anybody, but I just absolutely thought there was an answer in the bottom of a pint glass, full of self-pity. What my fault? All I want to do is speak to Kirsty. I want to apologise. I want to do this. I want my job back. Because it's happened so many times in the past, I could get things back.
Yeah, you're always rescued it.
Yeah, I wanted it, and I was getting more annoyed, and I couldn't get hold of anyone. And then that's when Liaison Diversion, who I work for now, Lisa Chambers, she's the child worker she was my support worker at the time. She rang me up. Very, very brutal, but in a nice way. And yeah, the rest is history, I would say. I got on the wagon.
I just want to explore that again. Yeah. So you said, tell us about diversion, Liaison. Tell us what that is for the viewers.
Apparently I got assessed in the cells.
Right. So someone came in the cells when you were locked up.
I do not remember that.
Influence, yeah.
I remember just keep waking up thinking it was all a dream, but then I'd wake up, see the blue wall with smell, you're on CCTV.
Yeah. I've seen that many times.
Or hearing the keys thinking they're coming to get you. And I'll be honest, I got very aggressive in the cell. Because I was, again, in my own head, I shouldn't be in here. You need to let me speak to Kirsty. You need to let me say I'm sorry. But I couldn't because of bail and everything. But yeah, so I got assessed. Really don't remember, but I was at my friend's house those 2 nights he let me stay, and Lisa rang me. She introduced herself. It's Lisa from Liaison Diversion. I was like, oh my God, what have I done wrong again now? She said, I'm here to help you, Dan. You asked for some support. So I did. I just broke down in tears. Just said that my life's fucked. I've messed up. I'm off to prison. I just thought the worst. And Lisa said, well, we might not, but I'm not the police, but I'm here to support you. So she got me back on the wagon with Renew. She got me housed with a charity in Hull called the Stepping Stones Project. So I was put in a house there.
So in effect,
sorry,
I'm driving.
No.
So
I can waffle as well. So I do.
No, you're not. You're doing great, and it's fantastic. And I keep on the leap in. But I'm sorry, but So her job was, in essence, was to give you a lot of support that you needed and you'd asked for, and that was to try and divert you away from serving a custodial sentence. Am I right in thinking that?
A bit, not to not do a custodial sentence, but it was to basically just to get me working with the services, because I wasn't aware that was out there. I knew the renew was there, but I believe at the time I didn't think I needed renew because I didn't have a problem, because I had the car, I had the job.
Yeah.
But until I lost all that, I thought, Dan, you need to seriously get a grip of yourself. So that week, so it was May the 7th, I might have my dates slightly wrong. May the 8th I came out of hospital, prison, there's custody.
Yeah.
So the 10th and the 11th, I was, the 9th and the 10th, I was on the streets and on the hotels, in the hotel. The 11th, I had the first meeting at Renew, and then I broke down absolutely in tears there and then. Like, yeah, I think, I don't remember that. I just remember breaking down. I was literally on my knees, asking for help, begging for help. And then the lady at Renew called Tanya, she came and got me, did a load of assessments with me in the hour and says, right, we'll put you on the day rehab program, which is an abstinence program. So I went on the day rehab, told Lisa that that's what I've done. She was like, she actually praised me. And she said, well done. And I was just like, in my head, I was thinking, why are you saying well done?
Yeah.
I've like fucked up. I've nearly killed 2 kids and, you know, I've just destroyed my family's life and what like that. So I don't need a well done. And she's like, no, Dan, you don't, but you've done wrong. You can't change what's happened, which were these real important words. All you can do is you can change what's going to happen moving forward.
Yeah.
And you need to take whatever comes on your chin, which I did. So I then went to my first meeting, AA meeting, on Friday the 13th. So it was very lucky for me. And yeah, stopped drinking the 12th, went to AA on the 13th, did my day rehab for 6 months. Volunteered as a peer mentor with Renew, and then Liaison and Diversion came back. Lisa rang me out of the blue and said, oh, would you fancy coming to work for Liaison and Diversion as a peer support worker? And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, we'd love you to. You've got lived experience, I think you'd think.
And you were working the programme, obviously, at the time?
Yeah, at the time I did my AA meeting, I did them every day. I used to get all these sayings thrown at me, like 90 meetings in 90 days. I think I did 180 in 90 days. I did one in the afternoons online, I did one on the night, I went to as many face-to-face. I surrounded myself. I think that was because I had nobody else. Nobody would answer the phone to me. My mum had literally washed her hands of me, which I needed. I couldn't see my kids, which broke me. But I'm glad I didn't, because they didn't see me like that. So yeah, did all my AAs, really proud of myself for my sobriety. Did the peer mentoring at Renew, and then I ended up going for an interview with Liaison and Diversion, and it was Neil, Aaron and Joe. Neil and Joe, the peer recovery and volunteer coordinators, and Aaron was lived experience, peer supporter, and then they gave me the job, part-time. Started that 1st of January, what's the year? 25. So it was 24.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
And then, and then I got the job as a support time recovery worker, which is a full-time role. Went for the interview with that in April, got the job, and here I am. And yeah.
So tell us about the job then. What's the nature of the job?
Tell
us what it is.
We support time workers so when you're in custody, you get assessed by our liaison and diversion practitioners. So these are the clinical roles, which at the time was NHS, so they were like band 5s, band 6s, they'd do the assessment. Then when they get released from custody, they get put onto our caseload. I ring them and said, I'm Dan, I'm a support time worker, we've been past your case, ready to work with you. You've asked for some support. It's voluntary. It's purely voluntary, so they don't have to do it. And then I ring them, go through the care plan. I tend to go through it with them again because I know when you're in the cells, your anxiety's through the roof, everything's against you. You want the magic wand and you want everything because you think it's going to make you feel better. But then when you're out back in the community, you just say to them, what's your priority? If it's alcohol, drugs, we get them working with the services such as Renew, depending on where they are. Housing, welfare, meeting them for coffees, just basically doing what Lisa did to me.
Yeah.
Making me believe that, you know, not everybody is against you. There is a hand there for you to hold. Yes, you may have fucked up, but there's a way out.
So you've just read my mind there, 'cause I was going to say, so someone who's lost in the dark right now, today, what would be your message to them? And I think you've just answered it to some degree.
The message to them would be, don't give up. There is a way out. Absolutely, there's a way out. And that's whether it's somebody coming out of prison, somebody coming out of custody, or not even being arrested or coming out, but somebody could be in addiction now, in a job. There is a way out. Just ask. There's services out there, but I do think they need to be more accessible for everybody, as opposed to people who've just been in the criminal justice system. I do think that how it's seen at the minute is you have to do something wrong in order to get the support.
Which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Somebody on my caseload last year who never been in trouble with the police before, and he knew he had some issues. He was found walking into the beach one day. This was before he committed any crime. He then decided to go and ask his neighbour to ring the police on him to say he's robbed him.
Yeah.
So the police arrested him. He got support with us. He got a criminal record. But he needed to do all that in order to get the mental health support that he really, really needed.
Yeah.
And
Which
I
is
just think
wrong,
that's
isn't it?
madness.
It is
Absolute madness.
Yeah.
But, you know, but again, the help is always there, but people want it. But I don't think it's easy for people to say that. People don't want it. I just don't think many people know it's there. I certainly didn't. So yeah, there is a way out. There really is.
Well, I think now after
But it could happen. You could relapse. It's not to say it's going to happen the first
sure.
time. I might have a relapse left in me. I hope not, but...
Well, I hope not too, but I think hearing your amazing journey, how many relapses have we just talked about?
A lot.
Lapses and relapses, there's a lot, isn't there?
There
and
is
here
a
you
lot.
are today doing fantastic work, and I think, you know, this podcast will hopefully be seen by a great many people in the prisons and stuff and in the community. And the message is powerful. There is help. Reach out. And hearing your journey, you might not be there. You might not be in that moment. Hopefully, you will get there to when you're ready to do it. Like it took you, probably that car crash with the children in the back.
I think
you know,
it needed
hearing
it. Yeah.
Something so drastic and terrible, and you've turned it around. You know, and against all the odds, really, here you are.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you.
No, I'm happy to share. More than happy to share, and I have to say as well, I know I'm not brought up the two children that was in the crash, but it's what I did to my four kids as well, what they've seen.
And now you're in contact with us.
I'm in contact with all of them now. Yeah, my Emily, she's 18 now, so she's got her own priorities. She only wants to know me when I've got a tenner.
Or she needs a taxi.
Or she needs a taxi, because she now knows that I don't drink. So
this sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My youngest two, hopefully they don't remember me being drunk. But if they do, I'll talk to them about it. My son asks questions about my alcoholism, and I'm not ashamed to talk to anybody about it. And I do. All I can say now is that I will do everything I physically can to make sure they don't see me with an alcoholic drink. But I know what I need to do for my own personal progression, as well as the job. But me comes first. And it's very selfish, but...
But it's selfish in a very different way.
Selfish in the right way.
So it's putting your recovery first. Because if you're not right, nothing in your orbit's right. And that's the thing, isn't it?
Because I was in that much denial with my life that I was not an alcoholic, and because I've never been to prison. At the time, I was like, I could never. Why do I need this? I haven't got the problem. But then when I realised I had the problem, and then I went to the AA meeting, my first AA meeting, I listened to everybody's stories, and I thought, fucking hell, I can relate to a little bit of that one, all here. And then it was like, when I asked somebody, are you in recovery? And they were like, yeah, I'm in 10 years. That was when I was like, yeah, but I didn't question it, but I was like, I needed to see that person.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say his name for anonymity reasons, but I just saw this person. He's had a life a lot worse than mine, in and out of prison, heroin, crack, crime, everything. And when he told me that he was like 10 years clean, I just looked and I thought, well, if you can do it, surely I can. And I needed that belief, I needed to see it. That's why I'm big on AA. And a lot of my service users, past service users, probably might say that I preach a bit, and I don't mean to preach. But when they ask me how did I do it, I'm gonna tell them the truth. And
well, that's exactly how you did it, and
it
that's
was
what
AA,
you needed.
And that's what I did. And I know it's helped many others, and probably thousands around the world, millions,
multi-millions of people. Yeah. So.
But yeah, so it was. Yeah, I had to see it. And I had to be in it and connection.
I think two things that are always the same, and I just said this yesterday, and I'll probably say it again somewhere down the line, is that your story is different to mine, but the addiction and the issues around the addiction and the pain of the addiction and the darkness of the addiction is exactly the same. And again, I said this yesterday, I've never heard a happy addiction story. Once you're addicted, I've never heard anyone say it's great, smoking crack's wonderful, or drinking 2 litres of vodka a day is great, or, since Gary's using heroin, his life's amazing. His business is going great, all his relationships are great. It's always terrible, isn't it? And I think as well, what I love about this kind of sitting here and hearing your story and hearing everyone's story I've ever spoken to, is it's real, it's tangible, and you can reach out and touch it. So someone's going to see this and go, you know what? He's done it. He's doing it, so I can do it. And that's inspiration for many, what could be hundreds of thousands of people, which in itself, this last 50 or 60 minutes could do that.
Yeah.
Just to close the now, what do you think the future holds? Where do you see yourself going from here?
Well, I'd like to stay helping people. I'd like to work in recovery. And, PPG, the Practice Plus group.
I can never get it right.
Seem to be where I want to be. So yeah, I'd like to still be doing this. If I can, I'll take whatever is thrown at me in any qualifications or anything like that. Because I know I ain't got no degrees, and I always used to think to do this line of work, you need to have mental health degrees and nursing qualifications. And you still do, but I do think lived experience.
Well, I think the University of Life,
Absolutely, sure. I've got a degree in being again, I won't repeat that, but I've got a degree in being an alcoholic, and having mental health and suicidal thoughts. I'd say I've got a master's in that, to be quite honest. But yeah, I'd like to stay in this. I think, unfortunately, the world we live in, I think we're always going to have addiction. We're always going to have, there's always going to be drugs and alcohol, there's always going to be mental health. And I think we're going to see it more moving forward, because people are learning to reach out more, especially blokes. But yeah, so I'd like to stay in this line of work. I'd like to maybe become a drug and alcohol worker. I'd like to get into prisons, work within probations.
We'll touch on that, because I know, speaking before, that you'd applied to go into the prison and your security was failed, in essence. And I
passed the DBS check-in. And the enhanced for adult and child working, but the HMPPS vetting, I didn't pass. I appealed it, but because of that one drink driving, which again, not just because I'm not trying to.
No, I know that.
It was wrong, very wrong. But they tend to not ask you what you've done since. Mm-hmm. And I know from going to the meetings, I know that I've stopped at least 3 people.
I'm sure it'll be a lot more.
From getting on that road, drink driving.
I'm sure it'll be a hell of a lot more.
I'd save lives, technically. mainly theirs.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Yeah.
I shared with you that I was barred out of every prison in the country, and I
Yeah.
re-challenged that. My criminal record's a lot worse than yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really worthwhile challenging that again. Definitely, and obviously with the might of PPG behind you, hopefully you'll get the right result.
hopefully, please.
Okay then, Dan. Well, all I want to say is thank you very much, and hearing
thank
your
you.
story's been amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.